Hello everyone, welcome to a new lesson. Today we will talk about el imperfecto. El imperfecto. We'll talk about what it is, its uses. Also, we will look at some examples and conjugations. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so YouTube lets you know every time I release a video on my channel. Excellent. So let's talk about el imperfecto. El imperfecto. What is it? Let's talk about what el imperfecto is. And it's something that you have to learn if you're learning Spanish, of course, because it's used a lot in Spanish. El imperfecto is a tense used in specific situations. So a lot of people get confused between the perfect tense and el imperfecto or imperfect tense, but it's really not that complicated. You only need to know when to use el imperfecto, and we will talk about the uses and those situations where you can use el imperfecto. So the uses are for descriptions in the past. So this is very interesting. Also for habitual actions in the past, things that you used to do. Also actions that were in progress in the past. So essentially we're talking about something that already happened. Everything is in the past, and we're talking about descriptions, habits, and actions, okay, that were in progress. That's important to remember. Actions that were in progress in the past. So those are the uses of el imperfecto. El imperfecto. Now, let's talk about each use individually, and let's see how el imperfecto works. So the first one, as I said before, descriptions in the past, okay? For example, era un día soleado. Era un día soleado. This means it was a sunny day. Where is el imperfecto here? So remember, it's a tense, and as a tense, you will need a verb to obviously be able to use el imperfecto. We need some conjugation. So we are describing how the day was in the past, okay? So era is el imperfecto, okay? Era, here you can see the imperfect tense, and this verb is the verb ser. And remember, the verb ser means to be, and it's a very irregular verb, so you need to pay attention to its specific conjugation. So era means it was, okay? It was, era. Era is a very useful word. You can use it to describe things in the past, as I said before, and it's pretty cool just to learn era, and then you can add whatever you want, because era is similar to saying it was, okay? And then we have un means a, día, day, soleado. Soleado means sunny. Día soleado, sunny day. Era un día soleado. It was a sunny day. As you can see, we need el imperfecto here because we're describing how the day was in the past. How was it? Era un día soleado. Okay? Era un día soleado. Now, let's look at another example. La casa era grande y vieja. La casa era grande y vieja. The house was big and old. That's the meaning of this sentence. Where is el imperfecto? Where is it? Right here. We have era again. We have era again. La casa era grande y vieja. We're describing how the house was. Okay? So, la casa means the house. Era was. Grande. Grande means big. Y and vieja. Vieja. Old. So this is feminine, a feminine adjective. Why? Because we're talking about the house. Grande doesn't have feminine nor masculine forms. So grande stays the same. It can be used, this adjective can be used for feminine and masculine nouns. La casa era grande y vieja. The house was big and old. Once again, you can use el imperfecto, this peculiar tense, to describe things in the past. Okay? So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Let's look at the next use of el imperfecto. So you can use el imperfecto for habitual actions in the past. Okay? So habits, we're talking about habits that you used to do, okay? Something you used to do in the past. Let's look at some examples. Cuando era niño, jugaba con mis amigos. Cuando era niño, jugaba con mis amigos. When I was a child, I used to play with my friends. Cuando era niño, jugaba con mis amigos. So let's break this down. Cuando means when. Yo era. We don't need yo. We need era. And that means I was. Now, you can say cuando era un niño, but that's not commonly said in Spanish. So, in Spanish, we just say cuando era niño or cuando era niña. Okay, when I was a child or when I was a boy, niño, boy. Cuando era niña, when I was a girl or a little girl. So it's interesting to know that we don't have something like a in English right here in Spanish. We don't have that. We just say niño or niña. Okay, so child, when I was a child. Cuando era niño, when I was a child. Cuando era niña, when I was a girl. Once again, niño means boy as well. Jugaba, yo jugaba. We don't need to say yo. You can just say the conjugated verb, jugaba, and we have the preterite right here. And here, well, era, we talked about era already, but jugaba, this is, let's focus on this one. Jugaba is el imperfecto, a verb conjugated in the imperfect form, or tense rather. So when you say jugaba, means I used to play. So it's similar to saying that you're talking about habits, things you used to do in this situation when this person was a little boy or just a child. Jugaba, I used to play with my amigos. Amigos means friends. Mis is used because amigos is plural, so that's why you need an S. Mis amigos, my friends. Cuando era niño, jugaba con mis amigos. When I was a child, I used to play with my friends. Now, let's look at another example using el imperfecto. El imperfecto. Nosotros siempre íbamos a la playa cada verano. Nosotros siempre íbamos a la playa cada verano. This means we always used to go to the beach every summer. So where is el imperfecto? Where is it? We can see the imperfecto, el imperfecto right here. Íbamos, íbamos. That is a verb conjugated in the imperfect tense. So right here, this comes from the verb ir, okay, ir, and the imperfect form is íbamos, íbamos, okay. So let's break the whole thing down. Nosotros siempre, well, nosotros means we. Siempre means always. Íbamos, used to go. Used to go, okay? Used to go. A, to, la, the, playa, playa. Playa means beach. Cada means each or every. It depends on the situation. In this situation means every. Verano. Verano means summer. Okay? Nosotros siempre íbamos a la playa cada verano. Interesting. Interesting. Must be nice to go to the beach every summer for sure. So remember, you can use el imperfecto when talking about habits in the past. So you used to do something. If you want to say we used to do something, you can use el imperfecto. You just need to choose a verb and then conjugate it in the imperfect form, or rather tense. Remember that. Okay, so the next use and the last use of el imperfecto. After this, we will conjugate some verbs. I'll show you the conjugation of el imperfecto with different verbs. Okay. So the next use is actions in progress. Actions in progress in the past. So we're talking about actions that were happening in the past. Okay, so we're not talking about present here. For example, mientras María leía, Juan escribía. Mientras María leía, Juan escribía. This means while Maria was reading, Juan was writing. Okay, so this is very interesting. We are talking about some actions that were happening in the past. So let's break this down. Mientras, while María leía, this is the imperfect happening here. Leía, this is from the verb leer, which means to read. So this verb leer is conjugated in the imperfect form, el imperfecto. Let's see what this means. Leía was reading, okay, was reading. Juan escribía, and we have another another verb conjugated in the imperfect tense. So escribía means was writing, okay? Was writing. So there's some action happening, okay? Some action happening in the past. So you need el imperfecto. Mientras María leía, Juan escribía, okay? Or escribía. Well, Maria was reading, Juan was writing. Excellent. Let's look at another example. Ellos estaban caminando. Ellos estaban caminando por el parque cuando empezó a llover. Wow, this is a long sentence. Ellos estaban caminando por el parque cuando empezó a llover. This means they were walking in the park when it started to rain. Where is el imperfecto? Where is it? Ellos means they. Estaban where? Right here. Imperfecto. We have it right here. And the verb is estar. Okay, estar. And estaban is the verb conjugated in the imperfect form, or rather tense. Caminando, walking. Okay, this is the gerund. This is a verb as well, caminar, but this is the gerund. So the verb is in the gerund form. Por el parque is similar to saying in the park. Okay? Por el parque, in the park. I know that por means for or by, but in this situation, when talking or when saying por el parque means in the park. Por has many uses, and we can talk about that, but por can be used when referring to duration of time, for reasons, if you want to explain reasons or motives. It can be used in different situations, so we can talk about por in the future. Por el parque is similar to saying in the park. Cuando means when. Empezó a, it started to, llover, rain. Okay, empezó, this is perfect tense, by the way. Empezó, okay, started. And it's interesting because we have here the imperfect tense, we have here perfect, we have the gerund, so we have 3 different verbs, which is very interesting. So estaban, this is what we need to pay attention to. This is the imperfect tense. So we are describing an action in progress. So they were walking when it started to rain. Okay, so it started to rain and they had probably to run. I don't know, but it's interesting that you can use the imperfect tense when talking about actions in progress, in the past. They were walking, so that's some action in progress for sure. Okay, so now let's talk about the conjugation of this tense, el imperfecto. It's very easy when talking about regular verbs. It's very easy. You just need to follow a few rules. And let's talk about that. Let's just talk about that. So, in Spanish, we have different kinds of verbs. We have verbs that end in ER, AR, or IR, and we just need to pay attention to that because each group of verbs, obviously, we're talking about the endings. need to be replaced with other endings when conjugating the verb. Okay, so I'll show you how it's done. So for AR verbs, for example, hablar means to speak, to talk. Okay, so that is a Spanish verb. So let's conjugate hablar in the imperfect tense. Yo hablaba. This means I was speaking or I was talking. Okay, and we can see right here that the ending is in green. So what you need to do is you need to remove the AR ending and replace it with this one. When you want to say I was speaking, yo hablaba. Okay, yo hablaba. That is how it's done, how you conjugate verbs in Spanish. You just need to replace the ending with specific ones. It depends on the tense. And of course, you need to pay attention to any irregularities. Or if the verb is regular, then you can follow. You have to just replace the endings, and that's it. If it's irregular, you need to pay attention to the irregularities. If it's not irregular, then you can just replace the endings, and that's it. You have a conjugation, a conjugation. So this yo hablaba means I was speaking. The next one, tú hablabas, you were speaking. Okay, we have again the other ending in green, so just pay attention to that. Hablabas, tú hablabas. Now the next one is él, ella, usted hablaba, él hablaba, ella hablaba, or usted hablaba, and that means he was speaking, she was speaking, or you, formal, were speaking. Okay, formal and singular. Él hablaba, ella hablaba, usted hablaba. The next one, nosotros or nosotras hablábamos. Nosotros or nosotras hablábamos. We were speaking or we were talking. Okay. Vosotros or vosotras hablabais. Vosotros is used in Spain and it means you, plural. Same with vosotras. The difference is vosotros is masculine, vosotras is feminine. Hablabais, hablabais. The next one. Ellos, ellas, ustedes hablaban. Ellos hablaban, ellas hablaban, ustedes hablaban. Ellos is masculine and means they. Ellas means they but feminine, and ustedes is you, plural, used in Latin America, and and that's it. Hablaban. Remember the conjugation. So as you can see in green, we have the endings that we need to conjugate verbs ending in AR in the imperfect tense. Okay? Yo hablaba, tú hablabas, él, ella, usted hablaba, nosotros or nosotras hablábamos, vosotros or vosotras hablabais, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablaban. Okay? Perfect. Now, let's talk about the next group of verbs that end in ER. Okay? ER verbs. For example, comer. Comer means to eat. How do you conjugate this in the imperfect tense? Yo comía. Yo comía. Okay? Tú comías. Yo comía, by the way, means I was eating. Okay? I was eating. Tú comías, you were eating. Okay? Remember, it can mean other things like I used to eat. It could mean I used to eat. So it depends on the use that you want to give it. Do you remember the 3 uses that we just talked about? So just remember that. Él, ella, usted comía. He was eating, she was eating, or you, formal, were eating. Okay? Nosotros, nosotras comíamos. We were eating. Vosotros, vosotras comíais. Comíais. You were eating. And of course, this one is from Spain. Ellos, ellas, ustedes comían. They were eating, or you, plural, were eating. Okay? So, good. We can see the endings here. So if you want to conjugate verbs ending in ER, you need to remember these endings. Okay? These endings, because we just need to get rid of this and replace that with these endings. All of this. Okay? Perfect. Now, the next group of verbs. Okay, so conjugating IR verbs. For example, vivir. Vivir means to live. Yo vivía. I was living. Tú vivías. You were living. Él, ella, and usted vivía. He, she, you, formal, used to live, or were living. Okay? So remember, once again, the meaning can change. It all depends on what you're trying to say. Nosotros, nosotras vivíamos. Okay? So that nosotros, nosotras, we, vivíamos, used to live, or were living. Vosotros, vosotras vivíais. You, used in Spain and plural, used to live or were living. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes vivían. And this means ellos, ellas, they, or ustedes, you, plural, and used in Latin America, used to live or were living. Interesting. So if you want to conjugate verbs ending in ER, IR, sorry, you can do this if the verb is regular. So you just need to remove this and replace that with these endings. Okay? Easy, easy, easy. Now, lastly, we're gonna practice this. We're gonna practice this, and we're gonna conjugate the verbs that are in green in the imperfect tense. Okay? So please do this with me. Let's complete the sentences using the correct form of the imperfecto, el imperfecto, or the imperfect tense. Cuando means when, and we have ser. Cuando, ser, niño. So when I was a child, do you remember? When I was a child, cuando, then the verb ser, niño. So this is this needs to be in the imperfect form. So cuando era niño, when I was a child. And then we have jugar, which means to play, con mis amigos todos los días. So essentially you want to say, I used to play with my friends every day. So how do you say jugar in the imperfect? How do you conjugate jugar in the imperfect tense? What's the conjugation? The answer is jugaba. Jugaba. Cuando era niño, jugaba con mis amigos todos los días. When I was a child, I used to play with my friends every day. Now, lastly, we have nosotros siempre blank a la playa en verano. So nosotros means we, siempre, we always, ir is the verb to go. Okay, we have to conjugate it in the imperfect tense. A la playa, to the beach. En verano, in summer. Okay, so essentially we are trying to say we always used to go to the beach in the summer. Okay, so the answer, do you know how to conjugate ir in the imperfect tense? The answer is íbamos. Íbamos. So, nosotros siempre íbamos a la playa en verano. We always used to go to the beach in the summer. Okay? Excellent, excellent. So that's it, you guys. I hope you learned a few things about el imperfecto. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting tense. And thank you so much for watching. If you liked this lesson, please give it a like. That helps me a lot. Also, subscribe to this channel. It's free. And if you want to support this channel even more, you can check out the memberships on this channel. Just one membership. You can just click on the join button down below. Take care. I'll see you next time. Hasta la vista.